Hi, and welcome to Fast Thinking. My name is Katherine Wolff, and today Shalom, Lipner, and I are going to talk about how President-elect Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu might work together. Shalom, what's the personal history between Bibi and Biden? Do you think the two leaders can make the relationship work?
Absolutely, Catherine. President-elect Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu are seasoned leaders who've known each other for decades, and whose main focus will be to promote the national interests of their respective countries. That's something that's been served well historically by a cooperative U.S.-Israel relationship. Both Biden and Netanyahu have pledged themselves repeatedly to strengthening these ties, which have been beneficial to both countries on multiple ways, on multiple levels, and also immensely popular among Israelis and Americans. So moving forward, I think we'll see them working closely together and at least trying, since it stands to reason they won't agree on everything, to manage these disagreements between them discreetly and constructively.
Shalom, one area where I could see potential for disagreement is President-elect Biden has stated his intention to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has publicly opposed that agreement. Do you think that Biden will be able to get Bibi on board with his goals to re-engage with Iran?
Well, the devil's going to be in the details. As you said, it's anticipated that Biden plans to jumpstart diplomacy with Iran and even maybe return to the deal that Trump withdrew from. That'll be the hottest point of contention between the administration and the Netanyahu government. But it's also unlikely that the original agreement from 2015 is still on the table. Whether or not Netanyahu decides to reprise his role as a designated spoiler will depend on answers to questions such as whether or how Biden responds to reports of Iranian breaches of signed commitments, whether he seeks to address other outstanding concerns such as Iran's ballistic missile program or its sponsorship of terrorism, and how closely the administration does or doesn't coordinate its moves with Israel. I have a question for you, though, Catherine. The Abraham Accords, which normalized Israel's relations between Israel and the UAE and Bahrain, might be the only foreign policy initiative of the Trump administration that won bipartisan support in Washington. Yesterday's New York Times suggested that the president-elect could actually reverse some of the promises that Trump made now in order to seal those deals. How do you expect them to address the issue?
So, Shalom, I think there are a few areas to watch. As you've said, Biden and his team have publicly expressed support for these deals the Trump administration struck, and they've indicated their desire to expand normalization. But first, a Biden administration will refocus on an eventual peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians. Second, the Biden team might not be willing to offer the same kind of incentives to Arab states that the Trump administration has. And lastly, I think an important trend to watch is this perception of U.S. withdrawal from the region, and that may actually encourage states to enter normalization deals without greater incentives. So, that's an area to watch. But we're out of time for now. That's it for this episode of Fast Thinking. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more.